Hey, what is going on everybody? It is Nolan, or the Optimistic Gamer here, and welcome back to a very special episode of the Optimistic Survival series. It is episode 121, which usually wouldn't be significant, but in our case, it is 121, which is the same current version as the Minecraft game 1.21. So to celebrate, we are doing something to honor all that Minecraft 1.21 has added, and boy is there a lot. If we remember all the way back to last summer when 1.21 was released, we got the addition of the trial chamber. And if we walk all the way through our museum, through our Deep Dark exhibit, we will see that we have a 1.21 exhibit with the trial chamber, and we can read about it. Soon enough, version 1.21 came to the game, bringing with it the trial chamber, a new underground structure which housed spawners, treasure vaults, and lots of copper and tuff. In this exhibit, you will be immersed in the trial chamber's unique environment and see many of the new items introduced in 1.21. Of course, we got the trial chamber, we got the ominous bottles as part of it, we got a crafter, some new music discs, and this is just the first part of the 1.21 update. We got the bundle as part of one of the smaller releases, the content drops, and then we got the Pale Garden from the Garden Awakens drop, which added not only pale oak trees and saplings and the creaking heart and all of that, but also resin bricks. And then of course we have a handful of new paintings along with all of the old paintings, and of course most recently we had the addition of the Happy Guest, which we are going to need to include an exhibit for, but we now have the Happy Guest as well. So we have a lot of new content. Of course, we have the copper building blocks. We featured a 1.21 house up there on the hill. We made a guest dock for our happy guests. We also have a couple new armor trims, that were added as well. There has been a lot, and of course the vibrant visuals, all of the new particles, the Spring to Life update. There has been a lot of new content added in 1.21, which is why we are honoring all of that new content in today's episode with the creation of a brand new floating island. I figured what better way to symbolize 1.21 than that is powdered snow, I think, than with a floating island built right out over here over the ocean, over the shore of the ocean, one that we can only access via, well, of course, elytra, but if we don't have elytra, then a happy ghast would be the only way to get all the way up to our floating island. On that floating island, we are going to include all kinds of 1.21 features, including buildings made from resin bricks and pale oak, copper, all different types of the new flowers and different plants, things like that. Of course, the particles are going to be a very big part of all of this, and I am just very excited to have a floating island and a place to represent all that has been added to the game in the past year. And this floating island is going to start all the way above the clouds, which is another new feature of the 1.21 content. We now have our clouds that extend out in 128 chunks in every direction. Now, this floating island is not going to be something that we build all in this episode. In fact, it is just going to be the beginning. It is going to mark the genesis of what will hopefully be a longer term project. Of course, it's not necessarily a mega project. We aren't grinding a ton to complete this. It's just something sort of like our zoo, something that is just sort of a side build that is fun to do as we have time to do it. And after carving out the side of the mountain, for our zoo, we have a lot of stone, so we will be able to utilize that as well. But we are actually going to start by building the frame of this island, and for that, we are actually going to use netherrack because we have a lot of that as well, and I would like to get a sense of how the island looks before we actually go in and place all of the stone. And we are going to use our happy guest when we go to do that because we will be able to build from underneath it. And not only that, but I would also like to have a variety of textures when we go to build it. So not just stone, but also some andesite in there, definitely some ores as well, and of course cobblestone and tuff. And I do want to make this island fairly large actually, because I want to not only have just a single building up here, but I want to have almost an entire village. So it will be at least 50 blocks by 50 blocks. I'm thinking maybe even more though. And what we will eventually go to do once we finish this island is actually head back down to the ground and dig out a giant crater for this island, as if the island actually lifted up from the earth. And we are already starting to form a really nice foundation for our island. It's going to be fairly tall actually. We are going to have this island be pretty deep. I'd also like to include some caves in it as well. After all, we do have the addition of the trial chamber, so I think having some kind of small miniature version of a trial chamber would be a really neat addition to the island as well. And of course, by the end of it, we will populate it with a handful of floating ghasts and other mobs that will really sell the entire look of everything that has come in 1.21. So let's fly around this and get a sense of how that is looking. I think that is pretty neat so far, if I do say so myself. I think what we will start doing now is building more out rather than up, since we have already a few layers for this. And of course, we will always go back and fine-tune things a little bit and really make it look exactly how we want. And once we get all of the stone and dirt and grass into place, then we will do a little bit more terraforming to make it specifically how we would like the island to look. So we are morphing the island into something a little bit more flat, kind of like that, and we will go up for a few more layers in this pattern, and then that should give us a fairly large footprint to work with. But I think just for a little bit of variation, we will make certain parts of it a little bit more steep than others. It will also help give the island a little bit more shape to it, as well, as that side is a lot more rounded and curved, and this side is a little bit more flat and jagged. And we are starting to have monsters spawn in up here. I did not really think that through all too well. So let's see if we can run down here and grab our bed and get out of here so that we can go sleep. So this is what we have right now. This is getting to be a pretty good size. So I think what we will do is go up a couple more layers here just on this outermost edge. So something like this, again, just outlining that edge going all the way around. And then I think we will double up on this layer. And again, we will go back and add variation in all of these blocks and angles when we fill in with the stone and the dirt. But for now, we will do this second layer on here, and then we will start to build back in towards the middle of the island. There we go, and then again, we will just double up that layer, or not double it up, but repeat going back towards the inside. But the top of the island is going to be a lot more flat and gradual to reflect the contours of the natural land that we have right down there below us. It's kind of jagged on the edges, but it's very flat overall. So I think we will still take our netherrack going all the way around to outline this, but then we will go in and fill in some of these inner parts a little bit more, and we will also get a bunch of torches placed down all over this netherrack as well. There we go, and again, now we can start to fill in a few more layers to the inside. I still want it to be sort of steep near the edges, as if when the island floated up, a lot of that dirt kind of tumbled off and made it steep around the edge of the island. But again, generally speaking, it will be relatively gradual. So all of our torches have been placed. I also placed torches on the ground way below the island so that mobs don't spawn down there during the day. And that first layer of netherrack up here is all finished, so now we will begin our land moving up another layer. Alright, there we have it. The island surface has been completed, so let's fly away and take a look at how it looks. The sides are, again, gonna look a little bit odd right now. That's just because we were building that for vertical height. When we go and add in our stone brick, or not our stone brick, our stone and cobblestone and grass and dirt, it will look a lot more natural. For now, though, we can go ahead and remove our scaffolding, and we can also begin to place in our stone. Of course, for that, we are going to need to bring a ghast over with us that we can fly around on and use to place blocks. We only have one happy ghast at the moment, so that is the one that we will use, and we will grab all of our resources that we will need as well. For our material layers, I'm thinking of using stone, cobblestone, tuff, andesite, and then a handful of different ores as well. We will go find some diamond ore that we can include underneath also. We may even do a couple patches of granite and diorite. I'm thinking just a small patch of each. I don't want to overdo it with those resources. So it will be a relatively long and slow journey with our happy ghast, but it will be doable. We are not too far away from where we are going. Actually, what we should be able to do with the lead changes that they made in the most recent update is we should hopefully be able to use a firework rocket. No, that did not work. I guess the exit velocity was a little bit too strong. But we can at least leash the ghast, and maybe now that we are flying, nope, that still did not work. So we will just leash the ghast and carry it over to our floating island. That way we only have to go up vertically. So we have made it to our floating island with our happy ghast, and we can get to work building. Actually, one of the things I meant to bring but forgot was some glow lichen, because I want the underside of our island to be visible, and if it is dark like this, then we can't really see what's happening under here. So I might go grab some of that right now just so we have it as we place things, and then we will come back here and get to work on covering up all of that netherrack. There we go. We are back with a stack of glow lichen, which should be enough to get us started here. So we are going to pull out our stone, our cobblestone, all of our different resources that we are using to build this, and I just want to make sure that we place these shulker boxes down so that we can pick them up without them falling all the way to the ground. And this process is as simple as just covering up all of this exposed netherrack using our different blocks. And that glow lichen definitely does make a big difference for us. We will also come back under here and add things like rooted dirt or roots from rooted dirt, and glowberries, and just all different kinds of things like that. And I also want to add in things like upside down stairs, slabs, just to give it a lot more shape as well. And I think we might add a second point, or even a third point, that's kind of dripping down like that. We might do something over here similar to that, just so the island isn't one single point, but rather multiple areas that were sort of pulled from the earth. But builds like this are definitely a million times easier now that we have happy ghasts to use as platforms. And we might add in a few ores now as well. Maybe some lapis right down here. And then we could do an emerald maybe right there. And we will continue to work our way around and up until we finish this whole process. It looks pretty much the same all the way until we are done with this. So I am going to step away and finish this off camera, and I will meet all of you back here once we finish these stone layers and it's time to move on to the dirt and grass. I will see all of you really soon. And our stone layers are all finished. We did have a rainstorm move through, and at this height the rain falls in the form of snow. So we have some snow that has accumulated, but underneath you can see all of the cobblestone and the tuff and stone and everything. There are a couple spots that we missed, but everything is pretty much all filled in. I'm going to go back down there one last time after the sun sets and finish placing in the glow lichen from the harness of our happy ghast right here. But that is pretty much finished, which means we can move on to covering the top with grass, which is a lot simpler than what we had to do before. Now, I don't think we brought any with us yet, so we will need to make a quick trip back, but we are only doing one layer of grass on top for this island. And I also tried to blend our stone just a little bit here on the edges, but again, that will be blended a lot more later on. But actually, placing this grass down, it's not as vibrant and as bright as I would like it to be, so I think what we will do instead is get ourselves a load of moss and cover the top of this with moss instead. We will also have that texture on the side, so it will look like the entire island is covered in grass, and it will be a lot more lush and vibrant. Now, we don't actually have very much moss at the moment, and we are going to need a lot of it. But that is not a problem, because we can come down here to where we will be excavating out the similar footprint of our island up there, and we can do some moss mining right down here, just placing down our moss blocks and bone mealing it to convert the stone into moss. Of course, we will get a bunch of natural byproducts as a result, but it will give us the moss that we are going to need to cover the surface. So this is how it looks underneath at night. It has a very, very neat look to it with all of that glow lichen. But with all of this moss, it should hopefully be enough to get us at least decently started with this. We're not going to go all the way down to the stone layers yet because I want to put some dirt on top of those. This is just going to be the top layer of grass. And again, you can see what I mean about those textures on the sides and having an overall more vibrant look to it. So I'm going to get the top of this all covered in moss, and then that will be pretty close to where we will end things for today. So I will see all of you back here in just a few moments. And all of the moss is into place, which means the foundation of our island is pretty much finished. We are going to spend some time, well, I am going to spend some time cleaning up these edges a little bit and preparing this island for building and the overall creation of this project. Before we end today's episode though, I want to fly over to the zoo because we have been, well, I've been making some progress on the path because we are getting ready to build the aviary. So if we take a look right down here, we have the dark stone path going all the way around here in the circle, and then I did a dirt pattern that we are going to put some bushes and plants and flowers, all different kinds of things like that on there. And in either the next episode or the one after, we are going to build the aviary, which is the giant glass dome in the middle of the zoo, where we are going to have the birds and the bees. So that is where we are going to end things for today. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, definitely hit that thumbs up button and make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on daily content as soon as I publish it. If you want to take your support to the next level, consider becoming a channel member. For just $2.99 a month. You will unlock all kinds of exclusive content, subscriber badges, custom emojis, and so much more. That will be the first link down below, and the second link is a link to the brand new Optimistic Gamer Community Discord server. If you would like a better way to get to know everyone in the community and a better way to connect with me and everyone else, consider joining that Discord for a bunch of different channels and ways to connect with each other. But with all of that being said, comment, like, subscribe, remember to stay optimistic, and I will see all of you tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Bye!